Hey guys, it's Willing Away and welcome to a new series. In this series I will be reading all of the SCP Foundation files starting from obviously the first to the last. These will be in a 10-part series, so every new episode will be covering 10, so this episode is covering SCP-001 to SCP-010. You will notice, though, that SCP-001 is not covered completely, considering that SCP-001 has, roughly 15 different decoy files. So I plan on covering SCP-001 at a different point, completely so you guys can understand it. But as of right now, it's just going to be the base information and stuff like that. So I hope you guys enjoy, and we'll just get right into it. SCP-001. The following files have been classified top secret by order of the Administrator. General Notice 001 Alpha. In order to prevent knowledge of SCP-001 from being leaked, several/no false SCP-001 files have been created alongside the true files and files. All files concerning the nature of SCP-001, including the decoys, are protected by a mimetic kill agent designed to immediately cause cardiac arrest in any non-authorized personnel attempting to access the file. Revealing the true nature or natures of SCP-001 to the general public is cause for execution except as required under Redacted. Warning: any non-authorized personnel accessing this file will be immediately terminated through Berryman Langford, mimetic kill agent. Scrolling down without proper mimetic inoculation will result in immediate cardiac arrest followed by death. You have been warned. Item number SCP-002. Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-002 is to remain connected to a suitable power supply at all times, to keep it in what appears to be a recharging mode. In case of electrical outage, the emergency barrier between the object and the facility is to be closed and the immediate area evacuated. Once facility power is re-established, alternating bursts of X-ray and ultraviolet light must strobe the area until SCP-002 is reaffixed to the power supply and returned to recharging mode. Containment area is to be kept at negative air pressure at all times. Teams, including a minimum of 2 members, are required within 20 meters of SCP-002 or its containment area. Personnel should maintain physical contact with one another at all times to confirm there is another person present, as perception may be dulled, skewed, or influenced by proximity to the object. No personnel below Level 3 are permitted within SCP-002. This requirement may be waived via written authorization from 2 off-site Level 4 administrators. Command staff issued such a waiver must be escorted by at least 5 Level 3 security personnel for the duration of their contact and must temporarily surrender their rank and security clearance. Following contact, command staff will be escorted at least 5 kilometers from SCP-002 to undergo a 72-hour quarantine and psychological evaluation. If deemed fit for return to duty by psych staff, rank and security clearance may be restored when quarantine expires. Description: SCP-002 resembles a tumorous, fleshy growth with a volume of roughly 60 meters or 2,000 feet. An iron valve hatch on one side leads to its interior, which appears to be a standard, low-rent apartment of modest size. One wall of the room possesses a single window, though no such opening is visible from the exterior. The room contains furniture which, upon close examination, appears to be sculpted bone, woven hair, and various other biological substances produced by the human body. All matter tested thus far show independent or fragmented DNA sequences from each object in the room. Refer to the Mulhausen report for details related to object's discovery. Reference: to date, subject has been responsible for the disappearances of 7 personnel. It has also, in its time at the facility, further furnished itself with 2 lamps, a throw rug, a television, a radio, a beanbag chair, 3 books in an unknown language, 4 children's toys, and a small potted plant. Tests with a variety of lab animals, including higher primates, have failed to provoke a response in SCP-002. Cadavers, as well, failed to produce any effect. Whatever process the subject uses to convert organic material into furnishings is apparently only facilitated by the introduction of living humans. Mulhausen Report. The following is a brief report detailing the discovery of SCP-002. Subject was discovered in a small crater in northern Portugal where it struck the Earth from orbit. Encased in a shell of thick rock, the fleshy exterior of the object was exposed by the impact. A native farmer happened upon the site and reported his findings to the village elder. Subject gained SCP attention when a Level 4 agent posted in the area detected a small radioactive anomaly generated by the object. A collection squad of SCP security personnel led by General Mulhausen was immediately dispatched to the area where they quickly secured the subject in a large container and performed initial testing with subjects recruited from the nearby village. 3 men individually sent into the structure subsequently disappeared. Upon discovering this deadly property of the subject, General Mulhausen issued a Level 4A termination order of any witnesses, roughly 1/3 of the village, to ensure no outside knowledge of the object, and initiated its transport to SCP facility. Data expunged. During preparation for transport, 4 SCP security personnel were inexplicably drawn inside the object, where they too immediately disappeared. Following inspection, it appeared as if the object had grown several new furnishings and was beginning to look like the interior of an apartment room. General Mulhausen immediately ordered the requisition of several Class 3 hazmat suits for the remaining security team members, who proceeded to lift the container onto a waiting freight ship for transport to the SCP containment facility. Multiple data expunged. Following the termination of General Mulhausen, SCP-002 was re-secured by SCP staff and brought into special containment and classified, where it currently resides. Staff with clearance below Level 3 have been denied access to the SCP-002 container without prior approval of at least 2 Level 4 staff after the Mulhausen incident. Item Number SCP-003. Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-003 is to be maintained at a constant temperature of no less than 35 degrees Celsius, and ideally kept above 100 degrees Celsius. No living multicellular organisms of Category 4 or higher complexity may be allowed to come into contact with SCP-003. In event of total power failure, if SCP-003-1 begins to increase its mass, assigned personnel must engage in skin contact with SCP-003-1. Ideally, personnel may use their body heat to return SCP-003-1 to above the critical temperature. However, skin contact must be maintained even in event of SCP-003 reaching activation temperature, lasting at minimum until SCP-003-1 advances fully to its second growth stage. Personnel who enter SCP-003's containment area must first be examined for body parasites of Category 4 or higher complexity, and sterilized if such organisms are present. All personnel who have come into physical contact with SCP-003-1 are to immediately report for sterilization afterwards. SCP-003-1 must not be removed from SCP-003-2 except in case of emergency procedures detailed above. Any significant change in SCP-002's rune activity, including pattern, frequency, or color, should be reported within 3 hours of occurrence. Cessation of rune activity must be reported immediately. SCP-003-2 must be supplied with power via the source designated generator 003-4 at all times. Description: SCP-003 consists of 2 related components of separate origin, referred to as SCP-003-1 and SCP-003-2. SCP-003-1 appears to be composed of chitin, hair and nails of unknown biology, arranged in a configuration similar to that of a computer motherboard. Testing reveals SCP-003-1 to predate earliest known circuit boards by a factor of thousands of years. SCP-003-1 is considered sentient but not actively dangerous except under certain conditions. SCP-003-1 was found on a stone tablet, SCP-003-2, on which it currently resides. The runes on SCP-003-2 are not part of any known language and emit pale, flickering light patterns. SCP-003-2 is controlled by a non-biological internal computer, the contents of which are mostly inaccessible without risk of damaging SCP-003-2. SCP-003-2 is capable of controlled emissions of radiation, including heat, light, and anomalous radiation types. SCP-003-2 contains an internal power source of an anomalous nature, which appears to have been losing power since several centuries before discovery. It is considered probable that SCP-003-2 was created for the purpose of containing SCP-003-1, Partially interpreted data recovered from SCP-0032 may refer to a past and/or potential future LK class restructuring event caused by SCP-0031. SCP-003 was located by Remote Viewing Team SRV-04 Beta. It appears possible that SRV-04 Beta was deliberately contacted by SCP-0032. Other organizations have also been alerted to SCP-003's existence, possibly by similar means. Despite this activity, SCP-0032 does not appear to be sentient based on its lack of reaction to M03 Gloria analysis and procedures. When SCP-003 drops below the temperature of 35 degrees Celsius, both components react. First, SCP-0031 enters a growth state characterized by an exponential increase in mass. This growth state consists of two stages. In both stages, SCP-0031 partially fuels its growth by converting matter around it, starting with any surrounding inorganic material, including atmospheric elements, then non-living organic material, including cells of dead skin, hair, chitin, enamel, keratin, and other biological materials. The first stage is always the same. SCP-001 will first increase its mass, then take a form similar in shape to an ophiuroid, or brittle star, of 50 meters in diameter, including what appears to be a central processor of 3 meters in diameter. It will form sensory organs that appear to scan its surrounding environment and will partially convert the area around it to an unidentified anomalous substance. SCP-0032 seems immune from conversion. The second stage describes a growth alteration which occurs when SCP-003 comes into contact with living organic material. SCP-003 appears to template itself off of the organic material and will attempt communication with organisms that match its initial template or templates. In its second stage, SCP-0031 may pause, slow, or change its growth, and will also convert inorganic and non-living organic elements into functionally similar structures while anomalously altering their physical makeup. While growth is consistent in the first stage, in the second stage, SCP-0031's growth rate is diminished by 20 to 90% so long as SCP-0031 remains in contact with living organic material. The percentage is determined by the complexity of the organisms in contact with SCP-0031. SCP-0031 appears to devote a large amount of processing power to analysis of living organic material. During each of SCP-0031's growth stages, SCP-0032 releases bursts of radiation that temporarily inhibit SCP-0031's growth, or reverse this growth when the temperature of SCP-0031 rises above 100 degrees Celsius. Similar radiation emissions have been replicated or recorded via other anomalous means. SCP-0031's biology has been the subject of extensive study. Significant elements have been identified similar to SCP-redacted, SCP-1512, and SCP-2756, the latter two of which have no further confirmed connection with SCP-0031 and no known connection with each other, and none of which are fully understood. Technically even less understood than SCP-003, thanks to the extensive cross-disciplinary research on the SCP-003 objects. To date, no convincing analysis has been put forward which satisfactorily explains SCP-0031's connection to these SCP objects or others, nor its connection to modern technology beyond appearance, and potential mimicry via unknown mechanisms. Addendum 00301. Acting on information gathered from linguistic analysis of SCP-0032's ruins and comparative data analysis, research team M03 Gloria has managed to establish a link between SCP-003 and data expunged. For analysis of functions, SCP-0031 must now be considered sentient and is to be kept at minimum of 1 kilometer from data expunged and the resulting byproduct at all times. Addendum 00302. SCP-0032's power loss has been exacerbated by the procedures performed by M03 Gloria on orders of 0510. M03 Gloria will continue procedures. Addendum 00303. During M03 Gloria procedures, SCP-0031 doubled its mass and began rapid structural growth. Temperature was immediately returned to 100 degrees Celsius. Growth and mass increase of SCP-0031 continued for 9 minutes and 6 seconds at which time a sustained radiation spike was produced by SCP-0032. In response, SCP-0031 returned to its normal state in 3 minutes and 39 seconds. New growth dissolved into a dusty residue which was collected for analysis. Both SCP-0031 and SCP-0032 ceased all detectable activity, and SCP-0032 did not resume activity until connected to external power source. SCP-0032's runes glowed uniformly gray and did not resume normal activity for 3 hours. SCP-0032 no longer appears to be able to maintain containment area at a temperature above 35 degrees Celsius without external power supplied by generators 0033 through 4. Addendum 00304. The procedure detailed in Addendum 00303 was repeated, and SCP-0031 again entered a growth state. After 10 minutes and 13 seconds, SCP-0032 once again produced a sustained radiation spike. SCP-0031's growth stopped for 36 seconds and then resumed at its previous pace. On quadrupling its mass, SCP-0031 formed a coherent outer shell and body. After appearing to scan its environment and partially converting its environment, SCP-0031 then breached containment, entering the observation gallery where 9 members of M03 Gloria were present. On physical contact with team members, SCP-0031 encompassed them in rapidly grown appendages and stopped growing for 15 minutes. SCP-0031 then resumed growth and rearranged the component parts of the center of its form to the shape of a 3-meter-tall female humanoid, with peripheral tentacles shifting to extrude primarily from SCP-0031's newly formed hair and spine. SCP-0031 then produced rudimentary vocalizations in an apparent initial attempt to communicate with researchers. Data expunged. An unknown individual approached the compromised containment area in company of a full squad of agents. The individual claimed to be acting on orders of 05110 and attempted communication with SCP-0031. Data expunged. Following this incident, Agent Jackson of M03 Gloria successfully restored power to SCP-0032 and activated backup generators to return the temperature to 100 degrees Celsius. SCP-0031 returned to its normal state in 21 minutes and 7 seconds and was successfully recontained without incident. All 9 members of M03 Gloria affected by SCP-0031 were afterwards found to be physically unharmed, with no residual effects besides psychological trauma. The converted materials of SCP-003's former containment area did not dissolve and are now under analysis. Addendum 00305. In light of the previous incident, O510 was removed from the O5 Council by joint decision of O5 Redacted, O5 Redacted, and O5 Redacted. M03 Gloria procedures have been indefinitely suspended. Special Access Program M03 Gloria required. Transcription of Incident Report A21B Cycle 8 for dissemination to O5 Command and Staff. Interviewers redacted, redacted, and redacted. Present O52, O55, O57, O510, and staffed. Interviewed Dr. Tillid David Moose, M03 Gloria Lead. Excerpt 35A. She tried to talk to us. We all heard her voice in our heads in some sort of half-language we couldn't fully understand. Some of the others passed out immediately. I lasted a little longer, but it wasn't because of mental fortitude. It's just that she was trying to tell us different things. She showed Jones a replay of all the memories of everything Jones ever felt anything about, all over the course of a few minutes. She ripped 3 of the researchers apart and put them back together, unharmed. She doesn't understand human emotion or pain, or very much about how we experience the world. Yes, I would say the containment procedures are necessary. Listen, she wants to remake the world into a paradise filtered through her own alien understanding of paradise, but still, a paradise designed for us, for humanity. She'd be happy to make a paradise for any sufficiently complex organism she comes across first. Anything with a complex enough mind to accept her. Say, a dog, or a housefly. If she breaches again, we have to be there first. What would it be like? I don't know. She showed us images. Not quite images. I can see them in my head, but they're not pictures. The closest thing I can think of is what you see when you close your eyes suddenly and tightly, but brighter and more complex. The images had metallic sounds associated with them and sensory details that we don't have the words or concepts to describe. The whole effect felt like words of some kind. I believe she wanted to see what we could understand. so she could understand us. She didn't have time to finish analyzing us. I don't know what would have happened if she had. Item number SCP-004. Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedure. When handling items SCP-0042 through SCP-00413, proper procedure is vital. The items are not permitted to be moved off-site unless accompanied by 2 Level 4 security personnel. Under no circumstances should any other component of SCP-004 be taken through SCP-004-1. The effects of doing so are as yet unknown, and the current cost of experimentation makes further research impractical. Should any of the objects contained within SCP-0041 breach containment, or the facility be breached, the keys must be brought inside and the door closed prior to activation of Site-62's on-site warhead. Unauthorized removal of keys from the testing area is grounds for immediate termination. Level 1 clearance is required for basic access to SCP-0041. Level 4 clearance is required for the use of SCP-004-2-13. Description: SCP-004 consists of an old wooden barn door, SCP-0041, and a set of 12 rusted steel keys, SCP-0042 through SCP-004-13. The door itself is the entrance to an abandoned factory in Data Expunged. Chronological history. July 2, 1949. A group of 3 juveniles trespassing on federal property near Redacted found the door. According to their testimony, they found a set of rusted keys and an iron lockbox and determined what door the keys unlock. The juveniles are taken into custody after they contact Sheriff Redacted, when one of their friends, SCP-004-CAS-01, goes missing. On July 3, 1949, local authorities find the severed right hand of SCP-004-CAS-01, 8 kilometers from SCP-0041. Other parts of SCP-004-CAS-01's bodies are found scattered as far as 32 kilometers from the factory. Under interrogation, the apprehended juveniles tell authorities that, upon opening the door with one of the keys, SCP-004-CAS-01 was torn into several pieces, each of which disappeared. At this point, the SCP Foundation takes over the investigation. On July 4, 1949, SCP Agent Redacted obtains the keys from the local authorities to begin testing. Tests show that SCP-0042 through SCP-004-13 all fit into a single lock on the large barn door. 12 Class D personnel are assigned to test the effects of the door. Of the 12 tested subjects, each trying a different key to enter the room, only 2 survive. Opening the door with any key except SCP-0047 or SCP-004-12 caused the test subjects to be torn apart in multiple directions. However, no dismembered parts were found until later. At the time of writing, only 2 parts of each subject have been recovered, with the exception of the subject using SCP-004 Redacted, whose pieces are scattered in close proximity. The others have, for all intents and purposes, vanished from existence. Of the 2 surviving subjects, only one, having used SCP-0047, returned unharmed. The other came back in a near catatonic state, able only to remove himself from the room and then collapse on the floor, and had to be restrained to prevent him from gouging out his eyes. See Appendix A, Mental Health Effects of SCP-004. The subject using SCP-0047 said that he had entered a large room, impossibly big for the size of the attached building. After his exit, SCP-0041 was propped open and an armed squad of Level 3 personnel entered. The size of the room is impossible to measure, and the door frame and the individuals in the room are the only part of the room that can be felt or illuminated. On July 16, 1949, the juvenile suspects and Sheriff Redacted are terminated. On August 2, 1949, Redacted is declared a hazardous area due to unexploded ordnance and fences erected in order to prevent civilian ingress. Tests to determine safety of exposure to environment behind SCP-0041 begin. On December 1, 1950, space-time anomalies resulting from exposure to SCP-004 are confirmed. Testing is suspended until further notice. July 2, 19 Redacted. The unaccounted-for remains of SCP-004-CAS-01 appear unexpectedly outside SCP-0041. Despite being killed decades before, the remains of SCP-004-CAS-01 are not decomposed in any manner and are still warm to the touch. Blood remains uncoagulated. The remains are remanded for testing. On July 4th, 19 redacted, the unaccounted for remains of one of the 12 original test subjects appear in similar manner to those of SCP-004-CAS-01. The remains have been designated SCP-004-CAS-02. Records suggest that both SCP-004-CAS-01 and CAS-02 used SCP-004 redacted. March 21, 1999, with the massive proliferation of nuclear weapons and World War III only redacted years away, construction has begun on a site inside SCP-0041. The site is to stock supplies for redacted, person, and days. On April 21, 1999, Redacted has ordered the site inside SCP-004 to be expanded to include emergency storage for all mobile SCP-redacted specimens and a redacted petabyte database for the storage of all SCP data. The facility is now referred to as Site-62. September 25, 2000, Site-62 is operational. Labs and containment units are complete and can contain the most dangerous specimens. Backup of the SCP database has begun. January 25, 2001, due to time anomalies, see space-time anomalies below, all personnel working at Site-62 are now required to reside on-site permanently. Families of personnel are to be informed that loved ones perished in an industrial accident. Clone bodies have been prepared for funeral. August 14, 2003, massive power outage across northeast United States and through Canada due to the initial failure of multiple SCP generators. Site-62 was without power for 53 minutes. During those 53 minutes, those on site were completely without any source of light. They reported it sensing creatures and people, although no abnormal entities could be seen or felt. Selected facility personnel were allowed to read redacted Appendix A, and so the creatures sensed were of humanoid size, but otherwise similar to the massive green creature described. Space-time anomalies. SCP-004 seems to propagate spatial-temporal anomalies. Personnel leaving the facility report losing time. Those who had been in the site for weeks insisted they had only been in the facility for several days, and records of work completed and supplies consumed support their claims. Other temporal anomalies involve SCP-004-2 through 13, especially the reappearance of SCP-004-CAS-01 and SCP-004-CAS-02, exactly redacted years after using SCP-004 redacted. Redacted has been assigned to investigate all aspects of these time anomalies. Spatial anomalies include the impossibly large dimensions of the area opened by SCP-0047. Similarly, the 2003 blackout incident suggests that there exists an alternate plane of existence within the same space that Site-62 occupies. Additional notes. Testing on SCP-004 reveals that 10 of the keys open SCP-004-1 on a dimension where the laws of physics in topology are significantly different than those of our home dimension. Test subjects meeting these hostile conditions are torn apart, their body parts deposited in several locations, only 3 of which have been verified to be on Earth. Material deposit at 2 of these points appears immediately. Material deposit at the 3rd appears exactly redacted years into the future. The other 7 locations are currently unknown. Current testing focuses on 2 avenues of research. The first is finding ways to survive SCP-004's hostile topologies. The second, data expunged, suggests that SCP-004-2 through 13 may open doors other than SCP-004-1. Appendix A, Mental Health Effects of SCP-004-12. All Class D personnel using SCP-004-12 return in a catatonic state, unable to speak. Some may have enough energy left to try to claw out their eyes. Of the 16 subjects, only 4 have survived. Only 1 has regained speech following long-term psychotherapy. He was able to tell the psychiatrist that he saw a massive green creature so large that much of its body extended beyond his field of view. He reported innate fear and sudden recognition, as if it were something buried deep in his primal fears, and forced implantation of incomprehensible memories. Subject displays acute anterograde and retrograde amnesia. Appendix B. Additional information. Item, SCP-004-14. Date of discovery, September 2, 1950. Origin of the object. Object was discovered elsewhere in factory area in the previously undiscovered manager's office. Description. Object appears as a large, unvarnished wooden box. The box may be unlocked by the safe key, SCP-0047, as well as 5 of the unsafe keys. See document SCP-0041. Upon unlocking SCP-004-14 with SCP-0047, the box opens automatically on hinges. The volume of the space inside is precisely 5 times greater than the outer dimensions imply. Items placed within while the lid remains open do not affect the weight or any other properties of the box. When the lid is closed and locked, however, all items inside vanish irretrievably. Personnel locked inside the box are also irretrievable. Although losing personnel in this fashion appears to affect significantly the dreams experienced by data expunged. Item number SCP-005. Object Class Safe. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-005 poses no immediate risk in any direct sense. Even so, its unique functions require special measures be taken to restrict access and manipulation of the object. Approval of at least one Level 4 personnel is required for the removal of the object from its containment area. Description: in appearance, SCP-005 resembles an ornate key, displaying the characteristics of a typical mass-produced key used in the 1920s. The key was discovered when a civilian used it to infiltrate a high-security facility. SCP-005 seems to have the unique ability to open any and all forms of lock, see Appendix A, be they mechanical or digital, with relative ease. The origin of this ability has yet to be determined. Additional notes: SCP-005 may be used as a replacement for lost security passes, but only under the supervision of at least one Level 4 personnel. SCP-005 may not be used for vending machine repairs, opening lockers, or for any personnel's spare home key. Removal of the object from the compound will result in immediate termination. Appendix A. While SCP-005 has been shown to be effective in removing almost any form of locking device, further experiments have shown that efforts to disguise the purpose or identity of a lock have proven at least somewhat successful in defeating SCP-005's ability. In approximately 50% of cases where a volunteer was not able to identify a locking device as such, SCP-005 was not successful in deactivating the device. Due to these results, SCP-005 has been tentatively classified as sentient, and further tests are being run to determine its cognitive abilities. However, there are no results that show any traits that prevent it from being able to identify any particular locking device, only that the aforementioned device has been heavily concealed and disguised. Under direct orders of the Founder, access is limited to those with Overseer clearance. Item number SCP-006. Object Class Safe. Special Containment Procedures. Whereas the nature of SCP-006 does not warrant any extensive containment, a certain level of secrecy is necessary regarding the object's existence and properties, for obvious reasons. The following procedures are required not for personnel safety, but to deny or hide knowledge of SCP-006 effects from the personnel who interact with it. 1. All personnel interacting with SCP-006 in any physical way are required to wear modified Class 6 BNC suits. Before personnel are allowed to perform procedures, they must be briefed with material SCP-006-B or SCP-006-C. SCP-006-A briefing is the correct one and is restricted to only those with O5 clearance. To ensure personnel are wearing suits properly, they are to be submerged into a pool of water. Any air bubbles spotted signifying a leak in the suit. 2. Procedures with SCP-006 are to be carried out under extreme surveillance. In case of contact with SCP-006, the commander in charge will announce Procedure 006-XI-12, which the personnel have been briefed to believe to mean high toxicity is present and they must evacuate. 3. Any procedure in which liquid is acquired from SCP-006 must be approved by 3 O5 level personnel. The liquid is to be transferred in a quad sealant container and under armed guard. 4. If at any time personnel come into contact with SCP-006 or liquid from SCP-006, they are to be confined and terminated after sufficient studies are done. Due to the nature of SCP-006, the most effective termination method is incineration. For full report, see file SCP-006, Ter 05. Description: SCP-006 is a very small spring located 60 kilometers west of Astrakhan. Foundation Command was aware of its existence since the 19th century, but were unable to secure it until 1991 due to political reasons. On the spot of the spring, a chemical factory has been constructed as a disguise, with the majority of laborers under Foundation and/or Russian control. The liquid emitted from the spring has been chemically identified as simple mineral water, in 1902, but has the unusual property of health. Ingesting the liquid produces the following properties in human beings: the ability to regenerate DNA damaged by sufficient duplication, heightened excitement of cellular duplication, vastly improved abilities in the repair of damaged tissue, and a frightening increase in the effectiveness of the human immune system. Upon testing the liquid on animal subjects, hostile bacteria and viral agents were destroyed immediately. Many reptiles and birds were unaffected, while higher primates experienced the same benefits as humans. Item number: SCP-007. Object Class: Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-007 is to be contained in a sealed room measuring 10 meters on each side. Room is to be furnished comfortably as a living area, along with whatever items are requested by Redacted, hereafter referred to as Subject, given that providing Subject with requested items would not compromise security. Subject is not to be allowed to leave the room and is to be detained with force if necessary. Description: SCP-007 is located within a cavity in the abdomen of Subject. Subject is a Caucasian male, physically approximately 25 years of age. Subject claims to be 28 and 176 centimeters in height. Most of Subject's abdomen, muscles, skin, and organs is absent, though Subject does not appear to suffer because of this. Instead of normal flesh, a sphere composed of soil and water is present, though it does not actually come into contact with Subject's body at any point. The sphere appears to be, in most respects, a miniature near duplicate of the Earth, approximately 60 centimeters in diameter, although continental alignment is not consistent with that of any alignment known in Earth's history. The sphere has its own weather patterns and negligible gravitational pull, in addition to microscopic organisms somewhat resembling those of modern-day Earth inhabiting it. 2 intelligent species have been observed, though contact and communication with either has yet to be made. Technology levels of observed species must be checked at least once a week and, as of Redacted, are approximately equal to that of 15th century Earth. Subject claims to be named Redacted, but no records of such a person can be found. Subject does not require food or water, and while he has been observed consuming both, what happens to such substances after being swallowed is unknown. Subject is intelligent. IQ has been measured at 128 and amiable, and regards the planet in his abdomen as a minor curiosity about his body. Subject seems to experience no stress about his unusual condition. When questioned about the planet's origins, Subject replied, "I just woke up one day and there it was. I don't have any idea how it got there." Subject has provided a social security number and driver's license number and requested that they be checked against known records. When checked, it was discovered that neither had yet been allocated. Dr. Redacted has a weekly chess game with Subject, during which Subject's mental health is evaluated. Dr. Redacted reports that Subject does not seem to mind the restricted living environment and is yet to attempt to escape or show signs of violence or mental illness. Though he has repeatedly requested a computer with an internet connection, it is recommended that this not be provided, as it may be used to compromise security. By order of the Overseer Council, the file is subject to Level 4 classification. Level 4 clearance is required. Item number: SCP-008. Object Class: Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-008 samples have been deemed Class 5 extreme biological hazards, and all related protocols apply. Incineration and irradiation measures will be deployed in the event of political or military action which may result in the faculty being dismantled, a power failure, or zero communications from operatives or outside channels during any given 8-hour period. The quarantine period for operatives leaving the facility is 4 months. If a breach has occurred, incineration and irradiation measures shall be deployed. It should be the policy of all G2 sites to not prepare an evacuation procedure. Description: SCP-008 is a complex prion, samples of which are stored in each of the known G2 sites. Research into SCP-008 is highly classified and primarily aimed at preventing research which may lead to the synthesis of SCP-008 in the distant future. Traits of the SCP-008 prion include 100% infectiousness, 100% lethality, transmission through exposed mucous membranes and all bodily fluids, not airborne or waterborne. Symptoms of infection with SCP-008 manifest no more than 3 hours after exposure and include flu-like symptoms with high fever plus severe dementia in later stages, coma onset approximately 20 hours after first symptoms appear and 12 hours after noticeable dementia. Coma onset will be considered onset of death. A period of sporadic cellular necrosis occurs which comes to resemble gangrene. Surviving tissue assumes its original function and is highly resilient. Red blood cells greatly increase oxygen storage capacity, resulting in slower blood flow and increased muscle endurance and strength. Nervous and muscular systems are unaffected by total organ failure for several hours. Metabolism may decrease to extremely low levels, allowing subject to survive for over 10 years without nutrition. High blood viscosity results in negligible blood flow from gunshot, puncture, and slashing injuries. Conditioned behavior, motor controls, and instinctive behavioral mechanisms are damaged, and cognitive abilities are severely degraded and erratic. Animals experience excessive brain necrosis and are inactive. Subject can adapt to its damaged nervous systems, but is limited to basic physical activities, including standing up, balancing on two legs, walking, biting, grabbing, and crawling. Subject will energetically move towards sights, sounds, and smells it associates with living humans. Subject will attempt to ingest living humans if physical contact is made. Neutralizing fully infected subjects requires significant cranial trauma. There is strong evidence to suggest SCP-008 itself did not form naturally on Earth, since variants of similar complexity would have displaced much of the ecosystem. In 1959, a short collaborative effort with the USSR to locate G2 sites and eliminate SCP-008 was negotiated following their discovery. The status of SCP-008 in Russian custody since collaboration ended is unknown. Addendum 008-1. SCP-500 has been found to be able to completely cure SCP-008 even in the advanced stages of the disease. Item number SCP-009. Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. Object is to be contained within a sealed storage tank of heat-resistant alloy with dimensions not less than 2 meters x 2 meters x 2 meters. Under no circumstances should SCP-009 be exposed to temperatures in excess of 0 degrees Celsius when not undergoing testing, and no water-based solutions shall be allowed within 30 meters of the object's containment area. Object's chambers to be fitted with temperature sensors, which must be monitored at all times, and is to be kept refrigerated by no fewer than 3 redundant cooling units. Any malfunction of sensors or of coolant systems is to be reported and repaired immediately. If at any time the temperature in the containment area climbs above -5 degrees Celsius, the chamber is to be locked down and flooded with coolant until temperatures return to safe levels, -30 degrees Celsius to -25 degrees Celsius. Containment area is to be kept in total vacuum during testing, and personnel interacting with SCP-009 must wear full environmental protection gear. Following testing, all equipment, personnel, and other materials must undergo dehydration procedures and be quarantined for no less than 12 hours. Any moisture found displaying properties of SCP-009 is to be quarantined and added to the containment area as soon as possible. Living organisms found to be contaminated by SCP-009 are to be terminated by chemical desiccation and extracted molecules of SCP-009 added to containment. Description: SCP-009 is approximately redacted liters of a substance which superficially resembles distilled water, H2O, except with a distinct bright red hue. This red hue is discernible in all phases and serves as the most expedient method of identifying contaminated matter before its anomalous properties manifest. In contrast to mundane water, SCP-009 assumes a liquid phase at temperatures between -100 degrees Celsius and 0 degrees Celsius, in a solid state below these temperatures. At temperatures below -100 degrees Celsius, SCP-009 vaporizes into a gaseous phase similar to steam. Examinations of the atomic structure of SCP-009 have proved inconclusive. The substance appears to be identical to normal water molecules, with the exception of redacted, in contrast to standard laws of enthalpy. Dr. Redacted and Site Redacted's residence, expert on xenospatial physics, suggests that SCP-009 may originate in a universe with alternate physical laws. The most hazardous property of SCP-009, however, is its ability to contaminate normal H2O. When in contact with any aqueous solution, SCP-009 will, through unknown mechanisms, transfer its anomalous properties to other objects and creatures. Testing has shown it's capable of assimilating ice, steam, tea, fruit juice, seawater, blood, and data expunged. The time it takes for this process to occur varies depending on temperature and the exact chemical composition of affected matter, and had been observed as taking between 3 minutes and redacted hours. Experiments on D-class personnel have illustrated the process of conversion by the substance, which has been found to follow a consistent pattern. Step 1. Initial exposure. Subject is exposed to SCP-009 and it begins assimilating any moisture present on the exposed surface. Creatures in the stage do not commonly notice any unusual symptoms except for a slight warming sensation. Step 2. Surface conversion. Frost begins to form on the exposed area as the heat produced by the subject and SCP-009 itself raises its temperature above 0 degrees Celsius. This stage can take anywhere from 1 minute to redacted hours, during which time subjects begin to feel redacted crystals from the epidermis. Step 3. Deep tissue conversion. Exponential increase in temperature of SCP-009 causes runaway reaction throughout subject's body, resulting in redacted. Actual blood loss is minimal due to ice crystals, redacted, allowing subjects to remain alive and conscious for up to redacted hours. Step 4. Data expunged. Testing on D-class personnel was discontinued as of April 23, 20, redacted. Addendum. Circumstances of retrieval. Subject was found in redacted Alaska on November 5, 19. The Foundation became involved after reports were obtained from the native redacted tribe who came across the mangled bodies of a team of seal hunters which had apparently been shipwrecked redacted kilometers from the village. All victims were found encased in red ice, cause of death recorded as internal bleeding, though closer examination found redacted. It is surmised that the low ambient temperatures in the area slowed down the freezing process. This prolonged the time to total conversion by redacted hours, and allowed the victims to remain conscious until data expunged. Origin of SCP-009 is currently unknown. Investigation into similar events or materials in the area is ongoing. Evidence at the scene suggests redacted, possibly involving SCP redacted. See Exploration Log A0091 for details. Addendum. November 9th, 19. After initial report and retrieval of specimen, it was confirmed that the arachnoid entity found by MTF-B7, see attached file, was indeed a previously known instance of SCP-3023. Investigation has revealed the instance originated in redacted as a result of data expunged. Addendum. December 6, 19. After repeated inquiries, it should be noted that the portion of coastline upon which the initial victims were found was barren rock approximately redacted meters from the seashore and was sufficiently dry and cold to prevent significant contamination of the surrounding area. Had the site been closer to the water, there is little doubt an extinction-level event would have ensued. Consideration of upgrading SCP-009 to Keter class under review. Addendum, December 16, 20. Supercooling of SCP-009 for the purposes of experimentation is disallowed until further notice. Personnel are advised that liquid nitrogen is only to be used on the subject in controlled amounts, and only until temperatures have reached acceptable levels. Related note: possible application of SCP-009 in cold fusion research pending evaluation. Memo from O5 Command. January 9th, 20. We've decided to keep this thing Euclid for now. We understand the concerns raised, but as long as you keep the power on and nobody goes near its containment area, there shouldn't be a problem. That's why we're keeping it in Site Redacted after all. As for the cold fusion research, we're putting a pin in that for now. Frankly, we don't have it in the budget for another snafu like Site Redacted. The Salvation Team still hasn't found Dr. Redacted's redacted. The following experiment record was recovered via chance occurrence of SCP-507 shifting into a universe in which the described test was carried out using SCP-107. The applicability of the reported findings to our own universe is pending review. Input: 10 milliliters of SCP-009. Result: red snow fell in test area for 27 minutes with moderate intensity. Grass growing in test area began runaway reaction, which ended with entire area being frozen within minutes. Notably, anti-encephalopathic reaction of SCP-009 did not extend past the effective radius of SCP-107. For reasons still under investigation, non-grass plants in area turned bright red in color, greatly expanded and mutated to display cyan-colored tentacles similar to those of species Drosera capinis. Mucilage produced by these tentacles later found to be tiny beads of SCP-009. How the plant is able to survive with SCP-009 integrated into its cell structure is currently under investigation, with preliminary hypothesis being the plant is a reflection of flora from the substance's native universe. Item number: SCP-010. Object Class: Safe. Special Containment Procedures. The objects comprising SCP-010 are to be kept in numbered locked boxes at Site-19. They are not to be worn except by test subjects. SCP-010 are only to be removed from storage for testing. Description: SCP-010 consists of a series of 6 apparently identical cast iron collars with numbered metal tags and 1 remote control. The control is SCP-0101. The collars are SCP-0102 through 0107. The collars contain intricate electronic components and are powered by small, 5 mm diameter, 2 mm thick, 100V batteries. These batteries are rechargeable. The remote is a heavy black box resembling an old-style handheld radio transmitter receiver, with a primitive blue and white cathode ray screen and a series of more than 100 unlabeled buttons, as well as a frequency tuner. Through trial and error, the frequencies of all 6 currently found collars have been discovered. A label in Russian is stamped into the metal along with a logo consisting of workers building a pyramid. No official Russian corporation or government agency uses this logo or matches the words stamped into the metal. Placing the collar around the neck of a person and securing it allows one to control their every movement with the remote. It is also capable of producing an adrenal response and activating or deactivating the sympathetic nervous system. The most abnormal feature of the collars is the effect they have on the body morphology. They allow the user of the remote to reconfigure the shape of the victim to an extent that is apparently only limited by the knowledge of the programming language of the remote. Addendum 0101 History. SCP-010 was discovered in the basement of a lone man in the Midwestern United States after a local disappearance was connected to him. When the police raided the man's house, they found SCP-010 as well as several dead bodies. One of the bodies was identified to be the man. The others were several other missing persons. Cause of death seemed to be mass suicide, however, there were signs of significant struggle first. Addendum 0102 Disassemble Experiment. Test 1. SCP-0102 taken apart piecewise, the parts labeled and several photographs taken, then reassembled. Result: after reassembling, SCP-0102 continues to function. Test 2. SCP-0108 constructed identically to SCP-0102, but with the closest approximations available to the unreplicable components. Results: SCP-0108 fails to function. Test 3. Unreplicable components from SCP-0102 placed into proper locations on SCP-0108. Results: SCP-0102 ceases functioning with removal of components. SCP-0108 begins functioning. Test 4. Components returned to SCP-0102. Replicable components in SCP-0102 replaced randomly with replicas. Results: SCP-0102 begins functioning with return of components. Changing replicable components for replicas does not significantly reduce functionality. Replacement of a damaged transitor decreased time from transmission to effective SCP-0102 response to commands entered in the remote by 12%. Addendum 0103 SCP-010 has been demonstrated to work more effectively in creating unskilled labor than for any other task. The logo is apt. Dr. Redacted. Alright, hi, this is the outro. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. I don't exactly know the date when the next part will be coming out, but just know that it'll be soon. And yeah, that's all I have to say. If you like and enjoyed, please like and subscribe. It helps a lot. And I will see you guys next time with more SCP. Goodbye.